Welcome to an out-of-the-box preview video. Today I am looking at Rook Ruin. It's a solo chess-based dungeon puzzle that is a deck builder, print and play, and has aspects of roll and write. This game is currently, at the time of this video, on Gamefound. I'll put a link below in the description. So everything you see here is preview. It's pre-Gamefound, so things might change. And I have been provided with these files in order to make this video. So this game is a dungeon puzzle, dungeon crawler, where you are using chess pieces to move your character, the White King, through the dungeon to get to the Black King and win the map. And so when you're moving your character, you use your traditional kind of chess movement pieces. A pawn can move forward, a king can move in any direction but only one, a knight moves in an L shape, bishop moves diagonally, a rook moves orthogonally, and a queen moves in every direction. And the way that the deck builder works is that you generate print out a lot of cards, and you pick up cards and your traditional deck builder as you buy them in the market. And you have this kind of market area at the top here, which I've laid out my cards here for my market. But I'm not actually going to use a card deck builder deck per se, because this game comes with this very neat thing called the Flying Arsenal, which is a mechanism for keeping track of what cards are in your hand, what cards you've played, what's in your discard pile, that you can do with a set of dice and a pen to mark what's going on. And that's what I'm going to use for my playthrough in a minute. But in terms of playing the game, you can print out 5 copies of the cards and do it like a traditional deck builder, or you can use the roll and write. I kind of like the roll and write because it makes it kind of more portable. You don't have to have a whole lot of cards, and you could do it, say, if you're traveling. Anyway, the game itself has 6 stages to a turn. It's timed. And so you have a clock along the top, and the first thing you do is you cross off one of the clock items. Then there are 4 actions that you can do in any order. So you can play a card. So if I was here with the king and I had a knight card I wanted to play, it would move in one of the L shapes. And I'll talk about what happens on the board in a minute. Then there's buy cards. So you collect resources, minerals, materials as you go through the game. Every chess piece that you take gains you more materials, which you can then spend on your shop. You can either buy more of the chess piece cards, or you can buy cards that give you more materials when they pop up, or more time. And again, part of the decision making is, do you want more movement type cards, or do you want to get basically more materials to buy more cards? There is an upgrade. So when you start your bishops, there's an upgrade stage down here. Maybe I'll bring that up a bit closer so you can see what's going on. So with our upgrades, our bishop starts at level 1, and at level 1 it moves 3. If we upgrade it to level 2, we can then move 5. If we upgrade it again to we've got a choice. Then we can either have infinite movement, or we can have 5 movement, and we'll take a piece at the end of it. And there's a similar mechanism for the rooks. So we start with moves 4, then it can move 6, and then we've got choices in terms of, do we want it to move as far as it can along the board, or only 6 spaces but allow you to take a piece when you end, or you take all the pieces that are on the path. So diagonally you would move 5, but you collect any pieces that are on the path. While we're here, so we have the space here. I've laminated my boards. I've got two dungeons to run through, and you can see that there's quite a nice bit of complexity to give you a lot of replayability. So we've got a resources area. We have cogs, which we pick up on our travels, and those are what we spend to do our upgrades. Shields are to defend ourselves if we have to move into a space that is currently contested. So if you think about these enemy chess pieces, this is the enemy bishop. It is attacking along that line. This knight is attacking here, here, and here. You can move into a contested area, but it costs you a shield. If you don't have a shield, you can't move. It becomes an invalid move. So that restricts some of the things you can do, but then that gives you more options to do fun things. And you can pick up shields as you go through. I'm going to go back down to here because I'm going to talk more about other things. Oh, well, I guess I could go there now. The fourth thing you can do in the kind of middle of the turn structure is a thing called a universal. We'll come back up again. Universal abilities, and they are things that basically get you out of a mess. You can spend 5 materials to gain 3 time. You can spend a time to banish a card. So that's your deck builder if you wanted to burn a card out of your discards. You can spend a time, and then for every card you throw out, you can draw a new one. So that's a really good one if you get to a place where there's no legal moves. And then there's this boost thing at the bottom that you can only do when you're at the end, in the last 6. That allows you to play your whole hand, all 3 cards. You have 3 cards in your hand. And each of these you can only play 1 per turn. So again, and you'll kind of use them to get you out of trouble when you get into places that you are unexpected, or you've had a bad draw. Every game you will pick a different character. So I guess I'll zoom this up too while we're here. Grandmaster, Queen, an attacker, and each of these have got a little bit of lore that tells you about the different chess champions that they were based on. So that's a nice bit of history if you're interested in that. And each of these gives you a starting set of cards on this side, and some special ability that you can use. And some of them come, I think there's one that comes with material. So this one comes with some material to start with. And when you play the game, you can either pick one randomly or pick the one that you want. I'm going to play with Grandmaster. And that goes here on your board. It's just a bit of a reminder. The dice work with generating your hand and basically controlling your discards as part of the deck builder on a laminated sheet. And that's probably easier to see rather than describe. And so, I haven't finished yet. The last stage is you dropped 3 cards. So you always have 3 cards in your hand. And those are your choices for the next round. So the game turns are very fast. Let's get going. So I'm going to play the introduction level because I haven't started. So I'm going to play as a Grandmaster. And the first thing I need to do is build my deck of cards. So when you're using the Flowing Arsenal, you have a set of cards. So I'm going to start with a king, and I'm going to give that a plus because I want to have the K. I'm going to keep the K for my knight. I have 2 pawns, so they're P's, and I have a knight, a K, a bishop, and a rook. And so the way that this works is if you haven't circled it, it's not in your hand. If it is circled, it's in your hand, and if it's rubbed out, it's used. Every time you use a card, you put it in the next column. That's going to be your discards. When you run out of cards, you reshuffle by then activating the next column as you go through. And it's a really elegant way of doing a deck builder without having to build a whole lot of cards. I still have the cards for my market, but I don't actually need to build the physical cards. Okay, so the Grandmaster has a special ability, Brilliancy. When starting a new dungeon, I can pick 3 cards from my deck and put them into my starting hand and then reshuffle. So it kind of gives you that advantage. I'm going to do that straight away because I'm starting a new dungeon. So I'm going to pick the knight, the bishop, and the rook. And so I circle them, so that indicates that those are my hand, those other 3 are in the deck, and we're good to go. So the first thing we do is we cross off time. That's my clock. And then I can go through either playing, buying cards. I have no money, I can't upgrade. So I'm going to play a card, and when I play a card, I'm going to play my rook. So I get my rook and I cross it out, and that goes in my discards. So that's my new column, which is going to be once I've reshuffled the deck. And my rook, I'm going to go sideways for 2, and you'll see why in a minute. And then I haven't got any money, I can't buy anything. Then I draw back up to 3 cards, and this is where the dice kicks in. because I've only got 2 cards in my hand. I've got a knight and a bishop, and I have 3 cards in my deck, and I roll the d6, and I just work it, and I get a 1, so that means I get this one. So now I have a king in my hand. And so the ones that are circled are your hand cards. Next turn. Cross off a time, and I'm going to grab this material because I wanted to go shopping, and you can't shop without any money, so I'm going to play my knight. So I cross off my knight, goes in my discards, and I play a knight move, and I get 5 minerals, which is kind of handy. So that's my playing of a card. I can now shop. I could buy a knight, I could buy another king. Kings are kind of useful because they're good for that fine maneuvering. You can go in any direction one, so it does kind of get you out of spots. But I also want more material. So I think I'm going to have a knight. So I put another K in my discards. That's 3, and I'm going to spend the other 2 on a 2 material. So I'll just put a 2 there, and so they go into my discards, so they might pop the next time I do my reshuffle. I draw back up to 3, so I roll my dice. Oh, I don't need to roll a dice because I'm going to either draw a pawn or a pawn, because that's all I've got left. And so in my hand now I have a bishop, a king and a pawn, and I have 1 card left, which happens to be the pawn in my draw pile. So I'll definitely be drawing that. I won't have to roll the dice. The reason I've got multiple dice is that as you get more cards, sometimes you need a d10 if you've got 10 choices. Okay, next turn. I'm going to play my bishop and diagonally and take that pawn, because that seems like a good thing. I'll play my bishop, goes into my discards. My bishop has got a range of 3 at the moment, which is kind of lucky. So I'll go to there. A pawn is worth 1, so I get 1 material for beating that. I don't want to buy any more pawns because they are not so useful in this map. Because they move up the board, once you're at the top, you can't move down with a pawn. So I don't want too many of those in my deck. Now I'm drawing, and I'll draw my last card. So the next time I draw, I'll reshuffle, and I'll be drawing from my new discard pile. But we haven't got to that yet because we haven't drawn. Okay, so next turn. I can move 1 with my. I can move a pawn. I'll play one of my pawns. Because I'm not attacking, I can just move up and I get myself a shield. So that's a good investment for later. That pawn goes into here. I haven't got anything to buy, so now I am moving on to this pile. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're still on a d6. And I get a 1, so I've got a rook. So now my hand, I've got a pawn, a king and a rook. And I'm here. And now I'm kind of stuck. Actually, I'm going to use my king. I use my king, and this is my deck now, so this is my new discards, because this is my active, this is my deck that are face down, kind of. This is my discards. So I start a new discards with my king, and I move 1 to the right, which is kind of handy. Can't go shopping. I need to draw a new card. Get a 3. When I do the dice, I only count the cards that are there. It's almost like counting down a stack. So anything that's in my hand, I'd ignore. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and I'll get a 2 there. Okay, next turn. Cross off some time. Why don't I spend that one? I'm going to spend my 2. That goes into the discard. I get 2 materials, and I can go shopping and what can I get for a 3? Maybe I'll go for planning. I'll get a 3 materials. Because if I can buy more things, I want to buy a queen. Because the queen is super powerful. The queen's movement is determined by the current upgrades on the bishop or the rook. So she will initially be a diagonal of 3 and a orthogonal of 4. How many cards have I got in my hand? I've got 2 in my hand, so it means I have to draw a new card. I get a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a knight. Okay, so what have I got? I've got a pawn and 2 knights in my hand. Really? I've got 3 knights. I must have. I've done something wrong. Anyway, I can't go to there. I could actually. But I can't move through a wall. So I could go to there. Maybe I'll do that. So I'm going to use my knight, and I'm going to move to here, which is a contested square, but I've got a shield, so I'm good. Because you can see what I'm going to do next turn. I'm going to use my other knight card to take the knight and get some points. Right, let's draw a card. 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, another knight. There's some time. Cross off this knight. And I'm going to do that. And take the black knight. That will get me 3 points. And that's kind of handy. So I've got 3. I think I'm okay for time. So I'm not going to buy any time. I think I'll leave it at that. So now let's draw a card. 3. 1, 2, 3. I've got my bishop back. Okay. Oh, that could be good. Use some time. I'm going to use my bishop and go diagonally down here, because then I can get the rook next turn. Okay, let's draw a new card. I don't need to do the dice because it's another. But of course, my hand is now getting filled up with. I'll have to use those pawns at some point because otherwise they start blocking your hands. Next turn, dice, move turn. I'm going to use my knight and hit the rook. And a rook is worth 5. So now I'm on 8. I'm going to try and save it for a queen. I think having a queen in my deck would be super useful. And of course, because I've taken out the rook, these are no longer contested. So that's going to make that easier. I've got 2 cards in my hand. I'm re-rolling. Reshuffling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So no point using the D6 anymore. I'm moving up to a D8 because I've got 7 cards in my. I give it a shuffle and I get a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I get my bishop back. Okay, but that's not too bad. We cross off a bit of time. I can't move there. I guess I could use my bishop. Why don't I do that? Well, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use my pawn because then it's gone. And I'll move up 1, which is fine. And then we'll roll for the new card, and I get a 1, which is the king. Okay, then I'm going to use my bishop because I want to go diagonal here before I get to the contested. Because then if I get a knight, and I've got lots of knights, I should get a knight. I get a 1, which is 2. Okay, next turn, I'm going to burn that then. And that gets me, well, it's got to give me 10, but I'm going to spend it to get a queen. So now I've got a queen. That'll make the next level so much easier. Then I've got to get a new card because I've only got 2 cards. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's a 3. Use up some time, and I'm going to do the 3, I think, because that's going to give me 4, and I'm going to spend 3 of them to get a new time card. That allows me to buy back time, so that'll just slow the game down a little bit, which I think is a good idea at the moment. Then I'm going to draw a card, and I get a 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're all knights, so it's going to be a knight, and that is exactly what I want, because this turn I'll use up a bit of time. I can use one of those knights to take the pawn. That gets me a point. And do I want to go shopping for 2? Probably not. I think I'm okay at the moment. I'm going to save up. Multiple queens would be super good. I haven't used any of these extras yet because I've got time. This is only the intro level. Okay, so I'm in a good position to use a pawn. So I use that one that's been sitting there for. Oh, I should have knocked off some time. Sitting there for a while. That will get me to the gate, and I'm through to the other side. Hooray! And I've got to go kill the Black King. Okay, new card. No point rolling because it's a knight or a knight. And this was a problem that I had. Oh, why have I only got 2 cards? I must have done something wrong. And I've had a problem that I had in one of my earlier games, is I'm here and these are contested. I have no shield and I've got knights and a king, so there's nowhere to go. So I thought that was game over, but it's not, because I can use one of my universal abilities. And one of the universal abilities is I could spend a block of time. I should have said it's a new time. I'll spend an extra block of time and I can throw out 2 cards and draw 2 new cards. So I will throw out the king and one of the knights, and I get to reshuffle 2 cards out of there. How many have I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm 9. So I'm on a D10 now. I get a 2, so I get a bishop. So that ought to save me. And a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A king, a knight. We've got 2 knights and a bishop, so the knights aren't going to help. If I'd got my 3rd knight, that would have been game over, because I'd have no legal moves. You can only use 1 universal ability per turn, and that would have been very sad. But I've got my bishop, and I can't go this way, so I'm going to have to go. Oh, I think I'm dead again. That is a shame, because what else can I do? Buying time doesn't help. See, that was I should have probably burnt the other knight, but I wanted to keep it. But because I didn't, I can't do a knight move. My bishop will go diagonally contested. That one doesn't get me out. And that's all I've got. 2 knights and a bishop. So that is the end of the game. Again, I die in the doorway. But that's alright. The video's probably getting long enough anyway. This gives you an idea of how it goes. The tricky thing here is you can't use your pawns because the pawns always go up, so you have to move around, but it allows you to go past things and up. I've got a bit of time. I think if I'd got over that little barrier, so maybe next time planning I have to think about what I want to have in my hand before I go in the door. Maybe a rook. Have a rook in hand before I go in the door, or a queen, so I can actually get out. But hey, it's super quick to start again. Just rub it all off. I really like the flying arsenal. The keeping track of cards, really easy to do. Couple of dice, super easy. Neat novel. I really like that. That is Rook Ruin. You can check it out on Gamefound. Don't forget to subscribe and like.